Can you wear too much bling? I've seen the official photographs of the coronation, of King Charles's coronation, with he and the Queen wearing those giant crowns and the robes and all that stuff. And that right there is too much bling. This is a show about jewelry, why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the cannabis goldsmith.
We're the cannabis goldsmiths.
Well, today we're going to talk about the biggest bling ever. I mean, the most bling. The giantest diamond. Actually, they're probably bigger diamonds, but the biggest clear diamond, the biggest jewelry grade diamond ever found. I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways to describe what this thing is. Anyway, it's a huge diamond. And it's in the scepter of the crown jewels. It's in the scepter with cross. It's that giant stone at the top. It's kind of like almost like a teardrop shaped cut. It's the largest clear-cut diamond in the world. And it weighs 530 carats. There are flaws in it. It's not flawless, but once you start getting into diamonds that are that big, I mean, flaws are debatable. It doesn't matter because these things are so rare. Okay, now this stone is called the Star of Africa, the Great Star of Africa, and there's some political issues that swirl around it, as with a lot of the stones in the crown jewels. I'm not going to get into the politics. I'll just touch on it tangentially here in this podcast. That's not what this is about. I'm just talking about the stone itself. It's loaded with symbolism, meaning, and a lot of history. That's the whole point of it. It's on top of the scepter. It's this power ruling symbol that the king holds, and it's at the very top of it. About this stone, the Great Star of Africa, it was cut from a diamond called the Cullinan diamond, which was the largest rough gem quality diamond ever found. It was found in 1905. And to get an idea of the size of it, it's the size of I have a small hand, but like if you have a big hand and you crunch up your fist, that's how big the Cullinan diamond was. The thing is, like, that alone was rare. So the name Cullinan. Cullinan was the guy who owned the mine in South Africa. It was found in South Africa. And at the time, South Africa was a British colony. So therein lies, now people in South Africa now are asking for the stone to be returned because it's from them, and now they're an independent republic. There's a party in South Africa, the EFF. They're an opposition party, and they're screaming loudly for it to be returned. I don't know whether it'll be returned or not. That's well beyond me to decide or even have an opinion about. I have a feeling, though, that it's going to stay in the scepter for a few more years anyway. It was found in Africa at this mine. And Cullinan, the guy who owned the mine, decided he wanted to give it to the king as a gift from the South African colony. And this king at the time was King Edward VII. And this was in 1905. The stone was found, and in 1907 it was gifted. At first, the king didn't want it, apparently, but he was talked into it, and so there it is. But what do you do with a huge stone like this? This is like so rare. This is the only one on the planet. Like, some people are saying, there are different, if you read if you read different stories or journalist stories, media reports, articles about the stone, they always attempt to put a value on it. Like, oh, it was in 1907, it was worth 1 point something $million or whatever. You know what? None of that means anything because it's the only one. It's priceless. There is no other, right? There's nothing even close to this giant Cullinan diamond, this huge thing the size of a fist that was found, this gem grade kind of diamond. Nothing compares. So when they throw prices at you, they're meaningless. They're absolutely meaningless. This is a priceless object. Here they had this huge stone and it had to be cut. And in order to cut diamonds, they have to cleave them. And what that means is, we're going to go into a whole show on diamonds later, but I'm just talking about this particular Great Star of Africa stone here. We mentioned that earlier in another podcast, that stones can cleave, like if they split along defined lines or axes in the crystal structure of the stone. All that is scientific stuff you don't need to worry about. What is it's like a piece of firewood, right? When you got a piece of firewood and you have an axe and if you hit it on the length, it'll split, right? But if you put the log flat down on the ground and try and split it on the width, it won't split, right? Because the grain's not running the right direction. And the same is true with diamonds. They can be split along certain angles, but not others. And if you position, they're split with like a type of axe, like a guillotine, a type of a blade. Think of it as an axe, like a specialized axe. And you position this blade on the stone, and you have a mallet or a hammer, and you hit it. And if you've chosen correctly, the stone, if you've analyzed it correctly, the stone will split where you want it to. But if you've miscalculated, the thing could shatter into a million pieces, and you'll be left with a bunch of smaller, less valuable diamonds. So the cleaving is key. And what they had to do, the guy who cut this guy Asher in Amsterdam, he was a famous diamond cutter in Amsterdam, Joseph Asher. He founded the Asher Diamond Company in Amsterdam, and he'd cut other diamonds before, like the Excelsior and the Jubilee diamond. But he was tasked with cutting this thing, right? I can't even imagine the stress, like the stress. Anyway, he thought about it for 6 months. He thought deeply about the stone. He looked at it for 6 months. He studied it for 6 months. And then he created a special blade that had diamond dust in the blade itself in order to cleave this stone into smaller parts that could be polished and used in other purposes, because frankly it's just too big. And when you cleave something like this, you want to cut away, you want to separate the good from the not so good. So you want to take separate all the clear parts of the stone from, say, parts that there might be a little bit of cloudiness or some flaws. You have to look at cleaving it in a way that can capture the most value from the stone. So this is what this guy was thinking about, Joseph. He was looking at this giant fist size, like a huge hunk of clear glass, and deciding where to place his blade on it and hit it where it would split. Now, legend has it that he made this blade, this special blade, to do this one job, this particular stone, the Cullinan diamond, which the Great Star of Africa came off of. Cullinan 1, they also call it. But anyway, so here he was with this diamond on the table, right? And he positioned the blade, his specially made blade, on top of it at the place where he knew he could separate off the biggest hunk to make the biggest high quality gem, polished, faceted gemstone, and then lesser stones from the other parts that he would cut later. So he positioned the blade on this giant stone, and he raised his other hand up to strike the blade, He hit it, and the blade broke, and apparently he fainted. Like, he just fainted. He just just passed out of the sheer, like, emotional drama of the whole thing. He fainted. But then he tried again, and he cleaved it, and he took it apart. He cut off the one big chunk of it, which became the Great Star of Africa. 530.4 carats, 106 and a bit grams. It measures 58 millimeters by 45.4 millimeters by 27.7 millimeters, as they say in the encyclopedias and directories and stuff. This is huge, this stone. It's gigantic. It's massive. And there were lesser stones cut from it. And the next down, the next biggest one down, is a cushion cut stone called the Cullinan II, and that's also in the crown jewels. That's in the crown. So these two monster diamonds are massive power symbols. But look for the one in the scepter with the cross on top. This stone at the top, the Great Star of Africa, can be removed and made into a brooch. It's been designed that way, so it can be removed and worn by the king or queen as a brooch, or it doesn't have to be in that scepter all the time. So you'll see the scepter in the official photograph of the king, King Charles III. Now, whether or not you think he's wearing too much bling, I personally think it looks like he's wearing too much bling because we've all changed, right? This is what kings and queens wear and have always worn in England. I mean, this is how all this is traditional stuff, and it's laden with symbolism and the meanings and the trappings that they just keep larding on. But there's not really a lot of modern symbolism. I was thinking about this. There was not really a lot of modern symbolism in these crown jewels. They seem to be mired in the past in a way. They have to be, because they're national symbols. But yet that's also an issue for them because they can't change, right? Anyway, I'm just theorizing about all this stuff. I don't know whether it should be sent back to Africa or not. Probably. Send it back. Put a fake diamond in the scepter if you need that, right? I mean, empire, this is the bling of empire, and the empire is no more. The United Kingdom was a huge world power, and it's not anymore. I mean, that's why these symbols look a bit strange when you see them in an image like this. I mean, people were making fun of the king and queen, saying they looked weird with these crowns and stuff on. And yeah, because it's like, it's a thing that you don't see every day. And also it's out of context. It's out of time now, right? It's like, do you really need this now, right? But this is tradition. And so there it is. And there we have these amazing stones. At least from a jeweler's perspective, I've never been to the Tower of London to see the crown jewels, but I'm going to. Before I die, I'm going to make that pilgrimage. I want to see what these things look like in real life, right? I've seen pictures of them. I've seen mock-ups and models of them and stuff. But I want to look at them too. I mean, this is the bling of empire, but empire is not there anymore. So what does it mean, really? That aside, I mean, the Great Star of Africa is that's what it is. It's incredible, right? It's the most amazing diamond in the world. These days, even diamonds are falling out of favor these days, but there's nothing that compares to this. This is the most serious bling in the world. This is like when you see all these stars at the Academy Awards and stuff, all the stuff they're wearing, it might be amazing. It's not even close to this, right? This one stone. So that's its power. The interesting thing is, before Asher, they decided Asher was going to cut it, and they had to send it to him, and they had to send it up from South Africa. And they were so terrified somebody would steal this thing that they had these plans they made up these plans to ship it to Europe. And what they did was they announced in the press that, oh, we're sending it this particular way, and then we're sending it another way, and like a courier is going to take it this way. And that was all fake. They actually put it in a plain box and sent it by post, by mail, to hopefully distract the thieves, to send the thieves in the wrong direction. So the diamond did arrive, and there it is on top of the scepter. The Great Star of Africa, the biggest diamond, the biggest gem grade diamond in the world that we can see. And you can go on Wikipedia if you want. I don't refer people to Wikipedia, but there's a free copyright-free picture of it there, so I believe. So you can see where it came from and the stone it came from, the Cullinan diamond, and the other stones that were cut from it by Asher. I don't know if I would have. I'm just trying to picture myself. No wonder Asher fainted. Like, can you imagine? Holy crap. Anyway, what am I working on in the studio today? I'm still working on Mark Farina, Egbert Farina's, DJ Mark Farina's cat Egbert's bling as charms. Like, I'm still finishing the design here. I went and got some cat collars. Jesus, it's hard to get cat collars. I don't know anything about cats, but I don't want to overload the cat with weight because silver is so heavy. So I bought a couple of different cat collars just to see how the charms look. And because I know dogs, right? I mean, I know what dogs can, different breeds of dogs can support different kinds of bling too. So I thought, let me look at cats. And anyway, I got some collars, and we're narrowing it down. If you're listening, Mark, that the charm is coming, and it's going to be magnificent. What else? Oh, turntable weights. In the last week, I told you I'm working on turntable platter weights. Still working on that. The design that I originally came up with for this, it was just going to be a cylinder, a straight-up cylinder that fit on the spindle. And I've modified the design slightly to make it better looking, and it's amazing. Now we've created the master design for it, and these weights are gonna be so good. And if you don't remember, the turntable platter weights are things that DJs would use, or people with record players would use, to hold the vinyl firmly on the platter. It's like a weight that fits on the spindle that holds the record down. And normally these are made out of cheap aluminum or whatever in mass-produced products. But we're making them out of sterling silver, and they're going to be freaking amazing for DJs who want something special at home. So anyway, I've modified the design. I've got the design sorted. The base design is done. And we can make these in any weight, right? This is the beauty of these turntable platter weights, is that, okay, if a DJ wants a lighter weight, like a 200-gram one, we can do that. So it looks amazing. It's functional, and it looks amazing. But some DJs like huge ones, right? Like a pound. They want them to weigh a pound or more sometimes. No, we can make them to whatever weight specified. But they have the same look, and they still all fit in that slot, that spindle slot in the Technics 1200 turntable on the deck. So anyway, if you don't understand anything I'm talking about, that's okay. Don't worry about it. If you want to know what I'm talking about, search for platter weights on the internet, or go to tribe.ca/DJ. And I think I talk a bit about it there. Anyway, I'll post pictures to our products if you want us to make you a turntable platter weight out of sterling silver or even gold. If your budget allows, we can do that. Send me an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. I'm wondering what I would do with a huge diamond like the Great Star of Africa. I mean, it's too big to put in a ring. You really need a scepter. I mean, you really need a scepter for like a man. It'd be too big for a man brooch, really. Yeah. Anyway, Great Star of Africa, the most amazing diamond on the planet, still since 1905. That's it. This week at the Cannabis Goldsmith. Follow us online. I'll tell you how. We have an Instagram account. I rarely put stuff there, but when I do, you'll see it. So follow us. It's at TRIBEDOTCA, or come to our website. This is where we are. If you want to come see what the stuff we've made, what we've made recently, just recently, and what we can do, go to tribe.ca. The CA stands for Canada. And also cannabis accessories and jewelry. Yeah. Today I'm going for a long drive today. I am driving up inland away from the river to get a mandrel. A mandrel is not like one of these ape things with the painted faces. No, a mandrel is like we use them for rings. It's like a tube of steel that you put a ring on and you hammer it on. It's like an anvil, but it's shaped in a different way, right? It's for hammering shit on. Anyway, this jeweler, I'm driving up to this town called Perth, which I've never been to, Perth, Ontario. Apparently, it's a beautiful little place. It's a nice little town, very scenic. They shoot a lot of movies there, apparently. All those movies where, Stepford Wives type movies where there's horror lurking everywhere. Well, they shoot a lot of those up there because the place is so picturesque for the vibe, I guess. Anyway, but I'm gonna go up and I'm buying this mandrel from this jeweler up there, and it's a weird mandrel. It's a chest mandrel, a chest and neck mandrel. So it looks like a chest and a neck, and it's made out of steel. And what you do is if you're designing necklaces, you can put like your necklace on this and hammer it. You can hammer on it, right? Because that's what it's meant to do. And I'm working on some huge neck pieces this year with cannabis leaves. And this will allow me to position them on this thing and hammer them and bend them in a way so they sit nicely on the wearer's chest when they're wearing these pieces, right? It's going to look great. Anyway, so I'm going for this drive. I think it's going to be hours of driving, but it'll be nice to get out. It's a beautiful sunny day. So this mandrel will allow me to hammer and form the metal directly on a chest and neck, which is really cool because you can't hammer on a person when they're wearing the piece, right? I have a plan for this mandrel. First off, the cannabis leaves. Like bent cannabis leaves that fit nicely around the neck for a necklace. And then I'm also thinking of the Technics 1200 strobe ring for DJs. I had this immediate idea of taking the whole strobe ring and putting it around a neck. Like, at first you think that's weird, like a big giant solid neck piece with dots going all the way around it. But I'm thinking if I cut that up into segments, I could make an amazing neck piece out of the Technics 1200 dot pattern for an epic necklace. That would just be insane. But in order to bend the metal around so that it would fit nicely on a person's chest, I have to hammer it on this mandrel. So that's the purpose of the mandrel. Also, I think it's going to look pretty cool in photography too. It's silver, it's like metal, steel or whatever. So I can put products on it and photograph against the metal, which I think might be kind of cool to do. So today I'm working on, if I get back in time enough from this drive, I'm going to be pushing ahead with the turntable platter weights. We're ready to cast almost. Like I'm going to make, I've got some plain ones made and I've got some decorative ones I'm going to make. And then I'll pick the best one out of those and then destroy the rest. And then we'll cast, I'll have our master goldsmith cast one in silver. A lot of silver is going to go into this too. It's huge. So it's heavy, not huge, but heavy. So I'm really excited about that. The thing is about making jewelry, it's like jewelry doesn't have to be rings or bracelets. I'm making jewelry for turntables. Like, I mean, creativity, dig deeper. And that's the thing about the crown jewels. Let's get some modern alternatives to this, maybe. Let's think about modern stuff that might not be so politically loaded, but might be creativity loaded instead. Anyway, those are just ideas. I'm going to cut out early today because I have to go on that drive. And I might as well go and get that banjo now because I'm so excited about hammering the shit out of it. The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. You can see what we do at tribe.ca. Send us an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith.